music streaming, we'll find out a little bit of beautiful woman sunshine in my life. Thank you. Thank you very much. I needed it. My crops were dry. Look who just walked in. I'm sorry, the crops were dead. Look who... I'm not good with farming analogies. The door's opening and looks who's walking in.
Hello, my friends. It's Chely Shoehart. The drops reminder. Oh my god, that sounds like so romantic.
What?
That you met someone on OkCupid.
Yeah.
And also your farmer analogy.
Thank you. Look who else just walked in. Hello, Mike. This is Floyd the Floorman. And this is John Deere, the engineer, Mike. That's how Floyd the Floorman and I met. Was through an online dating website. Wow, what a service those websites are doing for our country, our world, our planet. So, and what a service Amazon is doing for our planet. Like how I changed right out of that. Mike, I had to change out of my clothes when I fell into the mop bucket. Again. Because I'm Floyd the Floorman. Well, you know who else is changing the world for the better is Amazon, with banning certain books because of issues with publishers, and the same they're having issues with movie makers, so certain movies and television programs are not carrying well. They, however, are going to start streaming music. According to spin.com, though negotiations have been going on for about 6 months, the news first gained traction in March when Billboard reported that Amazon tried to get record labels to give them music for borderline insultingly low rates. Indie labels were offered a fixed pool of $5 million a year, while majors fared a little better at $25 million a year. Amazon would have access to their songs to be paid out based on the number of plays. Why would we do such a deal? Asked one executive. And another said they're going to get another $20 or $40 for each Prime subscriber, and they're going to chip off $5 million to pay the indies, regardless of the number of subscribers and usage. That's insane. Undaunted, Amazon continued to pursue a music streaming service, and in May, BuzzFeed announced that the company would offer its approximately 20 million Prime customers who receive, free shipping and access to some movies and TV shows for $99 a year. They were going to offer a library of old and newish music for subscribers to stream on demand, not unlike giving a friend a pair of used socks to wear whenever they want, when one could feasibly buy a new, perfectly clean pair for just $5 at Walmart. Well put, Spin. Amazon did eventually secure partnerships with Sony and Warner, two of the three major labels, but Universal, the largest, remains elusive. And that includes a lot of artists. To name just a few, that would include Carly Rae Jepsen, Elton John, Hole, Nas. You get the idea. And yet the Times makes the fair point that a music library accessible through Amazon Prime would reach casual listeners that have yet to sign up for the most popular streaming services, such as Spotify, Pandora, RDO, and of course Beats Music, which was recently acquired along with the company's electronics division by Apple for $3 billion. That deal, announced in May, according to Spin, may give both brands a stronger foothold into the music streaming business, as Apple would have access to Beats' well-endowed music library, not to mention their headphones, which may be required to listen to music on Apple devices. And Beats could be the primary music streaming service for Apple users, which vastly outnumbers Amazon Prime users. In the face of such stiff competition, Amazon's offer may not be enough to make it a viable competitor in the music streaming market. And it's amazing because I told you about that Beats music service just before it was operable, accessible to the public, and that immediately got snatched up by Apple. So we'll see how this all plays out for Amazon, but I think Spin raises some good points. What do you think about the whole thing? Email me, MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST-707-Jazz@gmail.com. I read your comments on the section emails from email. Also email me there if you'd like to be a guest on the show, or if you'd like to sponsor the show, MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com. We also have the website, MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com, where you can read the blog and see the daily podcast picture. And there's also links to where to listen to the show in iTunes. Subscribe to the show in iTunes, and when I post a new show, you can get it immediately as soon as I post it. And you can also comment and rate the show there, and that helps us out if you do that. There's also the Facebook page, a link to that. Like the Facebook page, and when I post a new show, share it with your friends, and more people will find out about us. Another great way to support the show is also through the Amazon deal of the day. Oops. Perhaps I shouldn't mention them today since I'm giving them already a mention with the news story. Although I did kind of show them in a bad light. Oh, well. If you want to click on the Amazon deal, you know what? Screw it. We're not going to talk about them today. There's also the Twitter page, Tumblr, Yelp page, Mixcloud, Spreaker, SoundCloud, and the YouTube page. And how to get to all of those, you can get to them through MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com, as well as where to find us on Spreaker and the Spreaker Smart Radio app for your smartphone. Also, check out all the interviews that I have done in the past, all there at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com.
Into an interview.
Hello?
Hello, Joe Baer.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. It's Mike Matthews from Mike's Daily Podcast.
Good. How you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good, just kind of lounging around.
That's a good day.
Well, I teach piano and guitar lessons in the afternoons, so my mornings are my afternoons, I guess.
Oh, nice. So you can just recline and prepare yourself.
Yeah, pretty much, because I don't get home till later, so this is my me time, I guess you'd say.
Right. Well, thanks for, sharing a little of your me time with a little interview about your debut album, Traces.
That's a pleasure.
And you recorded it with a 4-track cassette recorder?
Yeah, so I actually kind of stole that idea from my bass player, who I'm also in another group called the MTEP, which is kind of a 60s soul funk group, like the Meters. And I really like the process of it, so I decided to do that for this album, too.
Because I once had one of those 4-cassette recorder things, and you can do a lot with those. You
can do a lot more than you think you can. It's just that you got to get it right into performance, because the editing process isn't the same as on the computer, as you probably know.
Right, because you can't cut stuff up. You can record it into the computer and then mess with it, but
Yeah, but, we did it all in a small room live. I mean, jazz, you kind of have to play live because you're all feeding off each other.
Yeah.
So with the bleed through the microphones, for non-musicians out there, that's when you get drums in the bass microphone. You can't really cut certain things out easily because it's very noticeable. You'll have 2 different drum sets happening at the same time if you try to cut out something from one bass track and paste it in another.
See, that's why they do that when they're recording an album and they put everyone in different rooms, or they record each part separately, and
exactly
no bleeding.
Yeah, and of course in jazz you can't really do that because you're improvising all together over the song, so you have to react to each other.
Exactly.
But yeah, with jazz you could at least have some sort of separation by having walls or rooms for everyone.
How did you get into playing the guitar?
Oh, geez. I was 5 years old when I first started playing guitar. We found an old ukulele in the basement of a house that we moved into. I grew up in Vermont. I was just kind of fiddling around with it. But then my brother started taking bass lessons, and he's actually was I guess you could say, my first teacher, because he would teach me the songs that he learned from his bass teacher, and I'd play them on the ukulele. Things like Sunshine of Your Love, Birthday by the Beatles, and, cool old blues, good rock riffs.
And then you'd be playing it on the ukulele, what he had learned.
Yeah, I mean, his bass teacher actually took my ukulele and put strings on it that would allow me to tune it like his bass, which is the same thing as a guitar, but with 4 strings. Same tuning. So everything that I learned on that easily transferred to the guitar that I ended up getting a few years later.
And from then on, was it mostly jazz bands, or were you doing other genres?
Other genres. I mean, I was playing mostly rock music, and the jam band scene was going strong in Vermont. So there was a lot of rock with improvisation. And I think that's where my love for jazz really spawned, even though I didn't really get into jazz until I went to college later on. I did listen to a little bit of jazz when I was a teenager in high school, but and I did play in the high school jazz band, but that was just to get a chance to play guitar. But yeah, the improvisation thing, it was really something that I loved, and I think that steered me away from doing the rock and rock, blues, and folk music that I was doing. There's something that's really fun about being with a group and kind of having this musical conversation and seeing where it's going on the spot. It's kind of like a adrenaline for me when something goes really well.
Well, how did the band come together?
I actually moved, let's see, I'm in Berkeley, California now, so in the San Francisco area, and I just moved out here. I guess we'll be starting our third year this summer. I lived in Boston area for about 9 years before this, and like I said, I grew up in Vermont. So when I first moved out here, I was doing the Craigslist thing. I had plenty of experience with my last group outside of Boston on Cape Cod that was playing, 250 times a year. So at that point, teaching full-time and playing almost full-time during certain parts of the year, I had really no choice but to keep going with the career that I had before. It had been a while since I had a quote-unquote real job, so I was looking for students very quickly and looking for some bands to play in very quickly. So I was doing the Craigslist thing. After 3 or 4 strange encounters with strange musicians.
Strange musicians?
Yes. That could be a whole nother podcast. We don't have to get into those yet.
And this one guy showed up, and he was in a jean jacket, and he said, I only play one song, and that's Free Bird. and so we will play with it. And was there one guy that showed up with just a cowbell?
No, nothing like that. It was, if we're talking about the San Francisco area, so it was more like really strange avant-garde.
Yeah.
We're not allowed to play song type things. That was one of them. I could go on about that, but eventually I found. I ended up putting up an ad thing.